Buhari's special advisor on media and publicity, Femi Adesina, in a statement said EAC would advise President on economic policy matters, including fiscal analysis, economic growth, and a range of internal and global economic issues, working with the relevant cabinet members and heads of monetary and fiscal agencies. And of course, it means that that of the vice president that is headed, the economic team headed by Oshibajo, has been disbanded. Is it a cherry news when you hear all of this, that it's a kind of a team that had worked for the last 4 years, and it appears that no members of that team were actually brought on board in this new team? Is this something that we should cheer about, or something we need to fold our hands and actually watch what will happen?
Yes, it's laudable, and it's something we should cheer as Nigerians. It's just like a game of football. When you have a goalless first half, the coach will have to really think of what to reintroduce so that the second half is not messed up. And if you know, this is the second half of this administration, so there is a need for them to look at what they did well and what they did not do very well in the first 4 years, and of course in this second time that they will be able to. If you look at the fact that the arena of economics is one that a lot of people look down on Mr. President himself, and they said there is nothing to write home about his understanding of economics. So I believe it's a step in the right direction for him to have an array of people who are knowledgeable on that field. It will move Nigeria forward, and I believe it will correct a lot of imbalances of the past.
Omolaja, don't you think, sorry, I had to go this way, that this is casting an aspersion on the person of Oshibajo, because he had headed a team, an economic team, that worked for the last 4 years, and now the president has said, somehow with this inauguration of new economic team, politically it means that that team has been disbanded. Is it an aspersion against the person of Oshibajo, or a light message telling him that he's failed heading the economic team of the country for the last 4 years? What's the message here?
Thank you very much. In as much as I agree with my other colleagues, that in a game of, in politics, there's nothing that is definite. In the constitution itself, it's been subjected that the vice president must be able to head economic team. It's there. Where is it? But sometimes when the channels, the course you want things to be moving is not moving, you tend to try to change it again. You see, when you look at the normal the tradition of having an economic team, you see the Minister of Finance is going to be there, the Vice President, and some other people. But when you tend to look at it that way, you can see a lot of them are going to be political minded. And when they are political minded, definitely it's going to be a little bit tainted. You see, talking about Solido, he's a man that has a very impeccable record. I expected him to even head the team, because when he was there, he was the one that tried to change the course of banking industry. Then we are even having what's it called, recession, and he was able to, to help a lot of Nigerians.
Will you stick with what Omolaja is saying? Because the scenario appears to have been different from what we had when Soludo was the CBN governor. A lot of things have happened. The economy has really gone backward more than when he was CBN governor. Will he be able to have changed anything if he was made the chairman of that particular economic team now?
If I will go back a little to your question precisely, that is that an indictment that Oshibajo has failed? Oshibajo has not failed. Don't forget, this is an administration that came in and they took the country out of recession.
How? When? Because Nigerians are asking a lot of questions now.
2015, by the time this administration came in, Nigeria was in recession. And within some
how bad was the recession Nigeria is into as at then and now? This
was a recession that was so obvious that crippled the economy of the likes of Venezuela, the likes of...
What was it as bad as the way it is now? Because if I have to speak through the voices of many Nigerians on the streets, they will tell you that the economy is in fact worse now.
I don't want to, you see, in Nigeria, when we make comments, we make too much political comments. We don't really look at the realistic, you see, when a politician or probably somebody who is a political minded person talks, you tend to read politics into their statement. But I don't want to toil that part. I want to look at it from the virtue of promoting good government and governance in Nigeria.
How do
moving
we,
the nation forward.
before you even move forward, Koyeladele, how do we promote good governance when the leadership structure, a lot of people have accused it of being faulty? Because if you say good governance, it falls down from the leaders down to the people that they're trying to govern. Instances are that there have been accusations and counter-accusations of bad leadership structure in the country.
I don't want to believe that. I don't belong to that school of thought.
That there is bad leadership.
I'm a convener of Association for Good Government and Governance in Nigeria. And if I will look at this administration and look at the previous administration we've had in the past, I will want to believe that this administration has done so much to make Nigeria work.
Do you think so?
Let me analyze some area. I simply put it on that acronym change. You know, they promised the change mantra. Now, the letter starts with C, which is corruption fight. They gave bites to corruption fight, which was very obvious. The second is H, having diversification of the economy.
When you say it gave bites, a lot of people will want to disagree. At this point, do you agree to a point that this government in a way has tried to get things better than where we were before they came into being in 2015?
Thank you very much. I will really support my colleague here. I'll tell you the reason. You see, your question is about recession. What is that recession itself? A situation whereby there is few money in the there is how do you see money in the circulation to be able to buy what you wanted? And mind you, it's going to cause a lot of loss of jobs. In the past, we so depended so much on foreign goods. We hardly make anything. All we just do is consume.
Are we better now?
And we are better. I will tell you. I will tell you.
What is the gross domestic product of the country?
Assessment. When you are talking about the GDP, you see.
What is our annual revenue? What is how much more do we make from oil production in the country, the sale of crude oil? Because there are economic analysis that our crude oil has dropped in terms of the global market.
It will.
When you have instances like that, then what are we celebrating?
It will drop. Why is it going to drop? You see, Iran is now lifting up. You know, there was embargo on Iran before, and they have large deposit of oil, crude oil in the world.
Is that enough reason?
No.
For Nigeria's economy that is dependent.
This government is trying to change the narratives of being too much dependent.
Because I keep wondering
let me give you
when
a
you
simple
say
answer.
that.
Let me give you a simple answer to your question. You see, the ability of a government to manage governance in the time of poverty, in the time of lack, successfully, is quite much better than the government that squandered wealth. Now,
how do we marry it? How do we connect it?
We marry it in this way.
Yes.
Now, between 1999 to 2015, Nigeria got the highest revenue from oil. Forget about other IGR. What have we used those resources for in Nigeria, commensurate to the amount?
Is there enough skill?
No, it's not. Let me just make a point. Now, between 2015 to now, when we have not gotten as much money from oil, the stability, the foundation this government has laid shows seriousness and a departure from the path of wastage.
Koyeladele, you said something about mantra of change.
That's right.
We have blamed in the time past, the last administration before this came on board. Before 2015. That the mainstay of the economy was oil.
That's right.
And we needed a system where the economy would be diversified.
Which the government
and of course,
doing.
there must be a political will.
That's right.
But Nigerians are waiting to see.
Because for instance, we can see.
What are we seeing from the agricultural sector?
We are seeing.
Are we there yet? In terms of agricultural produce?
We are not there yet.
But what are the steps to tell us that we are moving forward? Because Nigerians will ask, farmers will ask you a lot of questions that you've not been able to go to their farms because they are scared.
Yes, because
many
of
them
political reasons. Because of insecurity.
Are we saying politics?
No, because of insecurity.
The failure of leadership here.
No, the failure of leadership. Do you know what it means when leadership has failed?
When there's insecurity. Once only.
Insecurity. You and I can still. There's insecurity in some areas in Nigeria. Yes, we agree. But the truth of it is the government resting on his oars? No. The government is, even if we look at this insecurity, is it not politically inclined?
How?
Because there are some
that
people
several people were kidnapped on the Kaduna Expressway.
Can you look at the
on a daily basis? Kaduna Abuja Expressway on a daily basis. Or the fact that Katsina has been crying foul. The governor of Katsina has been crying, saying that banditry has taken over the state. When you have instances like that.
When politicians go all out to mess up the system, they think it's just going to end there with election. No, it's not going to end with election. The people you have given gun to, we have the gun to use for other purposes. The people you have empowered erroneously and wrongly, we still have to move freely in the society.
So we are coming back to bad leadership because you mentioned politician here.
But
are you attesting to the fact?
To this administration is that we can see the seriousness of their matching up with all this criminality.
What are the things that we've seen?
We can see policies of government. We see the government giving out instructions.
Is it the Ruga policy now?
It's not. It's Ruga in practice.
Ruga of course, some states are adopting that.
Yeah. Coming to
states actually adopting that.
It's not used as Ruga. Let's be sincere with ourselves. When you are talking about dairy, how much are we making from meat? We must be sincere. We are talking about we want to turn around agriculture, and when we are talking about it has to do with livestock and crops. Are you getting me now? Now they are getting it done when it's come to rice production. When they shut down all the border for the past 26 days, other countries has been begging Nigeria to open it if they are not making much money. Now when all those borders were closed, we discovered that the price of petrol and diesel have dropped. This is the measurement you are going to use. Now we know insecurity in Nigeria.
How does it translate to economic progress? Are you feeling the impact?
Thank you very much. It is gradual. It is gradual. You see, we need to compare ourselves with a place like United States of America. When President Bush was there, we have much recession in which Obama inherited. Are you getting me? The economy was down. This is what President Trump used to campaign against Obama, that some people were bailed out because a lot of countries were bailed out. It's like the richest are still getting more in the term of ratio. Mind you, they were the one that hold the economy of United States of America. No country is okay. See what is happening about Britain. In Europe, it was economic problem as well. They are losing jobs. Their people are not finding jobs. It is worldwide. It is global. Now you cannot single out Nigeria as a country.
You know, you have said, Koyiladele had said that it's actually a progress, but really a gradual progress the way you used it. But a lot of Nigerians will ask you that, what is this gradual progress? Because we are looking at another 4 years and Nigerians are already counting. 100 days have passed.
That's why.
What is this progress that the ordinary Nigeria, have access to?
That's why
that is benefiting from.
I give you the scenario of a football match that was goalless in the first half. I said the coach will have to go and reintroduce a lot of measures that will help him to win the match. The likelihood of what we are seeing in this economic advisory committee, I don't even think it should be limited to economics only. We need advisory committee in health. We need advisory committee in sports. We need advisory committee in education. We need advisory almost in every sector. And when we are talking about advisory committee, vis-a-vis the usual one that the vice president headed, the vice president has not been, like a lot of people looking at that, disgrace or probably, ridicule. No, that's not the idea. The vice president and the president, they have a joint ticket. And I believe it's just like a coach in a football match.
How come we don't have him as a member of that committee if he wasn't disqualified as somebody who has failed?
Because at the end
terms of revamping the economy.
As the vice president, who shared the same ticket with the president, this is an advisory committee that is to advise their office, the office of the president. So whatever advice they are going to pass across is still coming to the president. So it's not really being sidelined the way I look at it. But they brought out a lot. They do this a lot in America. Our universities are full of wise men. What I said on radio this morning was, even at the state level, at the local government level, we need people aside from politicians who should give, advice and idea to our politicians. What an average Nigerian politician thinks of is grabbing money. But when these people are brought in, they give you policy. They let you realize that this is what will move the society forward. They give you ideas, they give you vision. with which you can at least move the nation on. So the idea is, it's not only in the area of economics that we need this. We need it all over. But kudos to the government that has introduced it.
Let's even go back to the days of Okonjo-Iweala when she was head of the economic team under the Jonathan administration. The economy was not this bad.
Because there was a lot of money in the economy.
But then what happened?
It was bad.
There was a lot of money in the economy.
But
it was bad.
I will equally say the mismanagement of that abundance is what led us to what we are in at the moment.
So how long will it take us?
So
if
what
at all,
was he coordinating?
If at
what
all,
was she coordinating?
No, if at all there was a breakdown in the economy then, how come in the last 4 years, going to about 8 years now, the system that we operate now has not been able to mop up those excesses? Do we need that long to get things right? That's the question here.
But
you say that there is a gradual progress. How much more do we wait? Because this administration will elapse soon. So how much more? Exactly.
Definitely.
And of course, we are seeing an economic team that is going to still sit and begin to look at how things
that doesn't
could be
mean
resolved.
The government is waiting for them. It's only an advisory stream that will move
but without
the process on.
Of course, without the advice, how does the system get it right?
No,
then need the expert advice.
To chip in advice.
Is it not? The
government is already in motion. Things are already moving. They are just bringing them in so that they can at least.
So why do we have the Ministry of Finance? Why do we have the CBN, which is supposed to regulate the economy? Why do we have all of these things when we still have the economic team who are also going to be benefiting from taxpayers' money? If their sitting is not going to be free.
It's not going to be free.
They are going to be paid.
It's not going to be free.
At the end of the day,
this is a standard process all over the world. They use advisory committee all over the world. Even America uses it a lot. America does not do anything.
Have we gotten to that stage when we begin to talk about advisory
committee?
But you have said it's
when are we going to get to that stage?
But that's a big question here.
We are getting to this stage.
You must have seen some impact. It's something very visible in other sectors of the economy.
The impact is there. I will tell you this. Let's talk about rice production. That is a staple food that everybody eats. Now, when you see other countries that are producing this rice and not making money anymore, and they are really crying because of the impact of banning the rice, so we can be able to develop. Now you will now see that this administration, there has been very tremendous progress when it's come to rice production. The farmers,
how many of our local rice do we consume?
Because
what is the quantity?
Thank you very much.
In fact, if you ask many Nigerians on the street, they will tell you that they prefer to get the imported rice because it's cheaper and it's cleaner.
Because they have to use money. No, thank you very much. Yes.
There's no employment.
So how come our local production is expensive?
It will come down.
Like you always say that what impact has it made to the man on the street? I went to a retreat at House on the Rock, and I can see T.D. Joshua telling us that people believe in promises more than process. And when you are talking about the process, it takes a long time as well. Before anything can be get done, it's going to take process. Why do we just need to consume what we cannot produce? It doesn't make sense. I'm telling you that in the face of this, we knew that this advisory council, advisory committee that he said is just on advisory role. They are still going to, the buck is still going to lie on the Federal Executive Council who are going to take the decision. So this,
why do we like all these processes? How come? Because I know that as a matter of fact that there are a lot of
it's a reality.
But the thing is that at the end of the day, we'll still come down to the rallying point and still discuss the same issues over and over again. You know? Okay, I think we have a caller online. Hello, good evening. Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Adebayo. I'm calling from Ikorodu.
Please go ahead, Adebayo.
Yeah, you see, as a presenter, I think you need to be loaded with information. You can see your guests, they have more information more than you do. So I just want to chip in that you should have a direction of your discussion, not just to be jumping everywhere. They are ready to solve a lot of riddles, a lot of the questions you are asking, but you are just taking them.
She used to ask questions.
advise you actually have your paper prepared, have a direction. If you are talking about the economic team, the advisory team is there. They have not disbanded the economic team. Are you following me?
I can hear you, Adebayo. Please
just
go
like you
ahead.
have said, every country of the world do have economic advisory councils or team, whatever they want to call them. It's different from CBN. It's different from every other, like, budget.
Must we follow all the trends? That's the question, Adebayo. Must we follow the trends that the world is taking? Must we also do the same thing? Is our economy the same thing with the US, for instance? Must we do the same thing? That's the question.
It's a global world. You agree with me that you do appreciate traveling abroad. You say Nigerians will go for greener pasture. What do they do there that make it greener than Nigeria? They have good system, security. So whenever you see any good thing, it's better you copy it than to say you are waiting to fashion out your own. You don't know whether the way you are dressed, you admire somebody, that's why you dress that way. You understand? Life is all about taking after one another. You have a mentor. Your mentor will tutor you, will direct you, will lead you.
Okay, before you go, Adebayo, let me ask you this question. Adebayo, can you hear me? Adebayo, can you hear me? Before you go, let me ask you this question. Some part of our constitution was lifted from the US Constitution itself. How much more have we been able to translate some aspect of this constitution we lifted into the Nigerian constitution to help our economy? For instance, how much more? We copied that. We copied some aspect of their constitution. Has it helped us in Nigeria in terms of even our electioneering process?
I think it's gone.
Oh, okay.
But you said how well have we been able to translate our constitution?
In terms of constitution now, some aspect of our constitution was lifted from the United States Constitution. How much more has it benefited our system?
Well, you see, benefiting from our system, you can see most of the things that is happening in Nigeria today, this administration is an eye-opener to most of us. The previous administration had just been living life to suit themselves. Now, when you talk about constitution and benefiting us, it is now time we are all getting to understand what constitution even means to our system. It had always been a system of working for your pocket alone. But this time around, we know we have a right, we have the rule of law, we have a constitution. It now depends on how enlightened or how knowledgeable you are to really make use of all those things.
I want to thank you so much, Adebayo, because I thank you so much for calling into the program. I must say thank you for your time. You know, I was really wondering that, you know, we have our own political affiliation. And from the tone of Adebayo, obviously, he is actually indirectly accusing the last administration of mismanagement, like what we have. But as a matter of fact, I think that it's the same process we are still having. No. We have talked about change mantra. What is this departure? That's the question. I've not seen a lot of Nigerians who ask that, what is the new thing that they brought on the table?
You see, there is, you can't see sincerity, but you can feel it. There is sincerity in this administration. You can see that this is a government that wants Nigeria to move forward. This is not a government that comes together to share the Commonwealth as a bazaar like we used to have. But this is not a deceitful administration.
When you see all of this, is it not just trying to create an avenue to blame some others for something that's been there? Let's look at Ganduje, for instance. Are we not saying the fact that he's under this administration, he's been accused of actually complicity here?
When somebody is accused, it doesn't stop there. There is still a process of prosecution. But Ganduje cannot be prosecuted because he's a sitting governor. So his case cannot be looked into because we all know the immunity clause. So, but that people will now heap the blame of Ganduje on the president is not right.
That is one out of so many.
Thank you. When you're talking about Ganduje, you see, it is easy for us to see something on the, okay, what was he alleged to do? It was alleged to be taking bribe. And the bribe is about this a video that was went viral. Are you
the
getting what I'm
same
saying?
video that Lawan Farouk at a point in time was caught
Thank you
of
very
actually
much.
putting dollars in his head
Thank you.
somehow,
Thank you.
and that
Thank you.
case was
Thank
taken
you.
to court.
Thank you. When you
know,
are talking
how
about
come?
no,
Because
it
if
is
you
a
say man-
different
well,
scenario.
when you
It is
say-
a different scenario.
Sitting government.
It's not
No,
even at that.
apart from
Nothing
that,
has been mentioned
apart
about
from
it.
that,
Beyond that,
apart from that,
Yeah.
it was a mark note. The mark note was found on now because SSS was the one that planted it. But when you are talking about Gandhi, it was probably the person that gave him it was not mad. So the money cannot be traced. Now, when we are talking about United States of America. It is easy for us to look at all the past leaders and to be telling the world that we are not doing enough. How many American president has been known? Why was Abraham Lincoln known for? It was known to be the one that stopped slave trading. You are not getting what I'm saying.
You know
When
what? I want us to get
understand.
something straight, because
Yeah.
we all have a lot of people are political animals. I think
Yes.
generally we're political animals.
Yes.
Some people will say the PDP, some people will say the APC. But I want us to have a general perspective of what we're talking about, because it appears that the kind of condemnation the past administration, that is before this, the APC government came on board, has been huge. And if you have condemned a certain administration of failing, how come you've not been able to get it right? This is 4 years and it's still counting, going to 6 years, and of course 8 years. When you have instances like this, we knew at a point in time when this government was coming on board, it said that there's going to be change in the health sector, there's going to be change even within the petroleum sector, that in fact we will be buying pump price of petrol at 1 naira per
No, it
litre.
wasn't said.
Of course, you had the like of Fashola. Fashola said so. That if they got Fashola said so. That if the APC government comes on board, there's going to be petrol sold at 1 naira per litre. When you have instances of all those promises over the years before they came on board, and we have not seen it up till now. So is it not the same system we're operating and just blaming people we're not supposed to blame?
Now, let me
because even if you look at the structure of the APC, how much more, if you count the members, are they not part of the PDP, those who make up the APC today?
No.
You see,
if you look at the structure of the political party itself, so are we throwing our fingers at the wrong place
if
here?
we are going to move forward as a nation, we must stop polythinking acts after election. Election has come, has gone. You are saying they made a lot of promises and now we couldn't see them. How can you see the manifestation of all these promises when the economy is in tatters? Before my son graduated, like the pattern of my late father, I promised him a car at graduation. At the time he graduated, my economy couldn't buy the car. So I just explained to the young man, why couldn't I give him the car? Since I made a promise, do I go and rob a bank to keep my promise? Should the government in power use toilet roll to foot all these promises? The reality of economy couldn't make most of these promises come to reality. But like I tell a lot of people, it is good that they make promises. And I believe with a buoyant economy and with a systematic building up of sincere governance, we will get there. It's a matter of time. We should be patient when we see a sincere government. In Oyo State at the moment, I told a lot of people, this man is sincere. How he is able to manage the people around him, we should be praying for him. But we could see the sincerity of wanting to move the state forward. In fact, I keep saying, my prayer is that he will dwarf the achievement of Ajimobi. Ajimobi did a lot.
When you talk about all of this sincerity, in as much as I don't want us to dwell so much on the social intervention program, for instance, there's a point in time they came up with the social register. How many Nigerians benefited from this social register? How did the social intervention help the ordinary man on the streets? These are some of the questions when you talk about the economy. Now we talked about the trader money, for instance, and of course there's been a lot of backlash for the vice president for actually fronting it and going to the grassroots to actually pay people 10,000 naira, 5,000 naira. at the election, during the heat of the election. And of course, now who is talking about all those policies? Now you talk about sincerity.
That's right.
Where do we place sincerity?
Because
I keep wondering when you use the word sincerity.
Is what you read. You read sincerity.
How?
You read that motive of government.
Because if you talk about economic progress, it must translate into a better life for the citizens.
In this country, when people will go to government in Abuja and they come back richer, who is the government giving money nowadays?
When you are talking about the trader money, it's still on, but on different dimension. You will see, they discovered that in order for them to be able to be dynamic, because you see a lot of criticism coming from there and right here and there, and you must change the channels when people are criticizing a certain policy. That is why it was taken to be a kind of, they have a soft loan financing whereby a lot of market women can be able to get access to.
Let me ask you this question before you go ahead.
Yeah.
How many of those who collected that 10,000 naira or the 5,000 naira, whatever the case may be then, how are they striving in the business they chose to do with that money? What's the follow-up? Like Oyo State, for instance, those women who wore Ankara and danced and collected the 10,000 naira, how has it translated into a better structure of economy for them? In Oyo State, I'm using Oyo State as an example. Because a lot of people ask of monitoring. Did you monitor them? What did they use the money for? And some people said, what would 10,000 naira do?
It's a mistake. Those who said that, they made a mistake.
Okay, we have a caller. Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening.
I think it's gone.
Okay.
Now, I grew up in Agbeni Market, where my mother had a shop years back. Many people will come to this market with no money, with just an empty tray. We sell wholesales. They will put the product
when was
in there.
That?
Look, I'm talking of early 70s.
Then how do we compare what is happening in early 70s?
I want to tell you that
what is happening now?
What you are looking at, ordinary 5,000, ordinary 10,000, to somebody who can run with it is a lot of money.
The question is, what viable business is that person going to be using the money for?
What
in this economy?
Thank you very much.
You didn't allow me to land. You didn't allow me to land. Those people who brought trade to the market in those days, I went to Agbeni just a couple of week or two back. They are the big millionaires in the market today. In fact, I was so embarrassed. One of them knelt down. He said, my brother, didn't you know me again? I said, well, this face is familiar. He said, I'm Shaki. I said, which Shaki? She was just a very young girl. They are the millionaire in the market today. It's a matter of vision.
Okay, we have a caller. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, my name is Stella and I'm coming from Lagos.
Please go ahead, Stella.
Yes, thank you. Commend you for your very professional articulation of issues. And I have some contribution for the gentleman. Nobody is saying we shouldn't be sorry, but it should be done with substantiated facts and in a more analytical manner. You have been arguing and arguing without meeting the crux of the matter. There's a general discontent in the country. You cannot wish it. So if you want to come and support or propose or showcase what the government has done, you need to keep your facts right. I'm very impressed. I just walked into a friend's office and I saw this channel for the first time. The lady is really world class. She should be in CNN or Al Jazeera.
Oh, I think that's a big commendation. Thank you.
Of course. She's good.
Thank you so much, Stella, for calling.
But I would like the gentleman to actually throw more light in their evidences or whatever they are trying to support.
Oh, good.
Be more critical.
All right.
They don't just have to follow blindly. We need to call our government to ransom. We need to be able to ask questions. We need to be able to draw them when they are not doing the right thing. So even if you're a supporter, I'm not a critic of the government, but you should also, like you asked a question about the trader money. Who is monitoring the women. How has he changed their life? Who empirical evidence? All those things. That's what she. So it's not just coming to the TV and just supporting. So go and tell your principals or whoever in government that is your principal that they need to be more empirical. Whatever intervention programs we are doing. It's only way we can move Nigeria forward.
Thank you so much, Stella, for your contribution, and I'm sure your message has been passed across.
Let me quickly hit at Stella with a point. Stella, thanks for that point. We are looking at 5,000 naira, 10,000 naira. 5,000 naira, 10,000 naira is not meant for the like of Stella. It's not meant for you. It's not meant for me. It's meant for the downtrodden people, and we have several of them in this country.
How do we measure that? That's the question. How do we measure
there
that?
Was data
because these are women already in the market.
Doled out. The money wasn't just doled out. They didn't just go to the market and do bazaar. There were even some of them.
What were these measures
they
taken?
They took their name.
Because they are set
they asked them what business they want to invest the money on. They know their address. They had pictures of all the people that collected the money. So it wasn't a bazaar.
There was a time. They want to be held.
Okay, we have another caller. Okay. Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Yeah, I am Babanding from Nasarawa State.
From Nasarawa State. Please go ahead.
Yes, on the issue of what people are discussing.
Okay, we hope to get you back on the phone line. Maybe you keep trying. But the question
you
here
are talking about the impact.
What was the measure
in
determining
the
progress of the poor and this social register itself?
When they started to be giving out to some people who are very poor in the society, the yardstick they have to use is that they didn't look at a place like Bodija, GRA, or probably Ring Road. They have to go to a place like Bere, Idiarere, and there are some downtown. You know what I mean? Some ghetto places to do all these assigning. And when the visibility study was done, the name was taken, and by the time the reflection started, it started there. You will not see anybody in Bodija or Manhattan or any other place getting that money. Now, talking about the trader money, you are not talking somebody who is selling Iru. How much is it going to invest in Iru selling? Somebody that is selling vegetables.
What is the monitoring mechanism
Thank you very much.
to ensure that they use this money for trade?
Thank you. Now,
given the fact that most of them can't even afford.
You see,
the truth is, they have found out to. I personally housed a friend who came all the way from Abuja for the monitoring. I saw them when they were going out, even before the coming of the vice president at all. Like the mapping he was saying, they went all around. They knew what these people are. They went to me. They are known as traders. They were seen as traders, and that's why you can't just come. It was unlike those days when they say Shopee money. You bring 15 names, you collect all sort of money. This money wasn't thrown out as a bazaar. It was directed at people who needed it. So if you say, how was it monitored? Well, they see them as traders. They empower them with that money. It's left for them to use it for whatever they want.
Let's look at what a lot of people have said about the process of this social intervention itself. A lot of people said, why would the vice president, for instance, go to the market? What at that point in time, at the heat of the election,
I had that opinion.
What was his motive?
Even know what?
And of course, some people have accused them of vote buying here. And now it brings us back to the issue of leadership. When you say you're leading the people and you have a vision of what a social intervention program would be like, how come we have a whole vice president who appears not to be having so much on his table going to interior markets?
Madam,
I want to tell you how come he did not follow through after the election?
Just a minute. I want to tell you that if the president failed to follow that money to the market, politicians will corner it. In fact, what the legislatures and the so-called people they are clamoring for was that this money ought to be given to them, so that they are the one who are the representative of the people. But I thank God that the government did not listen to them. If the vice president did not follow that money, it will not get to the hand of these downtrodden people we are saying. And the reason why a lot of people are crying foul is because they were not able to corner this money. The money went down into the hand of needy people. I didn't get anything because I'm not needy as much. You see, but they really targeted a particular sector of people in the society and they got them. So kudos to government for that. And on the issue of the economic team, in fact, I want us to look at what this team will achieve for government at this level. Now that they are brought together professionals, the idea of toying with policies will no longer be there. We have people now who will put heads together, look at the policies of government and draw their attention to the reality of what will work and what will not work. We have a lot of people now who will faction out policy for government. This will aid fast
you know, when you see
governance.
all of this, it appears to sound good. But how sincere?
This is what operates all over the world.
We keep saying that. That's what we keep saying.
You see, the way I'm going to look at things is different from the way you are going to look at things. And mind you, in political scenario, you can see people how we are going to be twisting things. Now, it is easy for the opposition to tell the world that is vote by. But I am going to tell you sincerely, what made Oshibajo to be different from me? It was because of his office. He's an human being like me. But if we have to make him to be special, that's like somebody who cannot go to the market. What did Fayose do?
Why didn't you continue?
No.
That step. What happened?
Listen, thank you very much. Why didn't he continue that step? It was because people make too much noise, and he almost lost his life. He almost lost his life.
Because it was,
yes.
Are you saying as a matter of fact,
yeah,
as part of the social intervention program that he was carrying out,
they are fortunate. They are fortunate. No. What I'm saying to you is that they are fortunate out. This is how you see the money has been given to Central Bank of Nigeria, and there are a lot of small scale, like you are talking about these finance companies that are now doing the job of traders' money. What Oshibajo ought to have done, they have refined it, remodeled it to be able so people can get access to the money.
You know, some people will say that he was used as a job man here to deliver the election.
Well,
those are some of the allegations.
There will always be opinion.
There's a lot of allegations against him. And of course, a lot of Nigerians believe that they've used him for the elections, and now they have dropped him. Another economic team has been formed, and he's not included.
No, I don't.
Politically, that's the way they look at it.
I'm not disputing that. That is what you hear from politicians. It's a small sliding. It's just smear campaign. You can't but expect that. A lot of people say things about God. I'm not working for government. I'm an independent person. But my greatest yearning is to see a better Nigeria. And I'm seeing one already in the making. I'm seeing the foundation of nationhood being properly laid.
Let's look at our state of hunger in the country.
That's right.
When you talk about progress, there must be food on the table of the masses. Nigeria is one country in the world that has the most hungry people. When you're having, in fact, it has taken over India with the word poverty. When you have instances like this, and we go back to social intervention, and you said that they've been monitoring mechanism to ensure that it translates into good life. How much more good life do we have when the data, the statistics all over is saying that Nigerians are impoverished? They are the most poorest people in the world. And of course, look at what happened in South Africa. A lot of Nigerians were stranded. Some don't even have a roof over their head. When you have instances like this, if Nigeria was better, if it was getting better, how come we have desperation?
I disagree with you that Nigeria is the world largest poverty rated country.
It is not my making. It is an international interest.
I will not dispute that. But what I will say is, you are looking at a ruined house, a broken house. You are looking at the debris of a broken house. But you have not really given it a thought. What made this house to crumble? You are looking at decay of several years.
We have moved on.
No.
How come we've not moved on?
Are we going to move on? Are we going to run the economy with toilet paper? How much has Nigeria made since 2015 to now? We are talking of the past. Mrs. Okodio-Iweala said something which I will never forget. Quoting her, she said, looking into the papers of the Ministry of Finance, no administration since independence has really put Nigeria to work. She said that when she was serving under Obasanjo in the first time. You know, she later served under Jonathan. I believe if a finance minister should look into the records of our office and make such a pronouncement, is a great indictment on the leadership of this country.
Haven't we had the likes of taking over?
I disputed the fact that Nigeria is the world poverty.
Are you contesting? Do you have your own data?
I'm telling you. What indices is going to point the fact of poverty? You are talking about war. You are talking about famine. You are not getting me now. And are you disputing?
I
am disputing it.
Do you have your own statistics?
What I'm saying to you,
yes.
We in Nigeria is not at war. We are not being ruined by famine. So you are saying as a matter of fact that there is no hunger. I am saying there is hunger, but Nigeria as a country cannot be the leader of war.
Let me ask you a question. Yeah. How many farmers have the confidence of going to their farm any longer?
You are going to say that is my good. That is not in Oyo State. That is not in Ogo State. It is not.
Why was that there was son picked up?
You are talking about kidnapping is one out of so many. It was because it was known. Because Adewale was known. The kidnappers are demanding for money. They cannot kidnap me because I haven't got any money to.
But for them to be able to doesn't have money.
But the farm.
They kidnap a lot of people doesn't have money.
How many of them have you seen again? I have just been sincere here.
Let me comment on hunger. Nigeria is so blessed with a wonderful land. Even if you just chew anything and put it down, 3 days later, go and look at it. It will sprout out and begin to grow. I have a driver who drives me around, and he saw an expanse of land at the back of it. He said, "Oga, please can I be putting some corn here?" I said, "Why not?" I was surprised when he just brought corn inside from his farm. What am I trying to say? Nigeria should begin to think of augmenting the situation we have found ourselves. The reality of even all the teeming unemployed people in Nigeria. Stop waiting for government to employ you. Think of what you can do.
Is the environment suitable
just
for
very far,
to start up?
Just not
How much more?
Just not too far from here. At Agodi Gate over there are two women. One fries buns and akara on the highway, opposite Total petrol station. There is another young man.
And tax force will have to chase them at the end of the day.
They do all sorts of, but they have
when
moved them a little bit to the back, out of the road. One day I just moved closer to the woman and I interviewed her. She has built a house. She sent her children to school. She has about 6 Okada. You know, Okada is the motorcycle that people ride for her and deliver for her in the evening. What does she do? She fries akara. I saw a picture of a woman. Which country is that? I think in Canada. Who was standing everywhere begging for money in Nigeria. He said, they said, what's wrong with your country? Why don't you go back home? He said, they have messed up the country because of corruption. I look at her mouth. Let's stop complaining as Nigerians. Let's think of what we can do. God has blessed us with a good land. There are a lot of things we can do around us. Don't stop waiting for government to employ you. There is no job anywhere any longer. There is no Chevron. There is no Total. There is no oil company to employ you. Think of what you can do. The opportunity of education is for you to be able to fashion out what you can do. You are the driver of your life, not the government.
Okay, when we talk about all of this, because we have to go, what does the government need to get right in terms of leadership? Of course, a lot of people will tell you that they have business ideas, and it's not everybody that have the opportunity of capital to actually start off. And of course, people have diverse interests in terms of starting off their businesses and the rest of it. What can the government do in terms of ensuring that there is a climate, entrepreneurship climate for people to actually strive in their businesses? We have the Bank of Industry. We have microfinance banks. How much more can people access loans in these banks?
What I believe the government should do is what we gather together here to look at, is that the government should set up advisory committee.
Which it has done.
Which it has done now. To really, not only on the area of economics, like I said, on education, on health, on sports, on every sector. So that people can really, politicians don't have too much ideas. I'm sorry to say that. But it's a reality. Politicians only think in terms of investing and recouping their investment. Politicians think only of their pockets. I'm sorry to say that. If you think Nigerian politicians are thinking of the people, you are far from it. But now that they are bringing in committees of erudite people who have it upstairs, people who are not politically inclined, people who will not speak politics, but they will speak economics, they will speak by the reality of what they know. I think the government will get it right, because they will point direction to government. And when government move in those directions, we'll begin to see changes.
I will advise, the government has been doing a lot in this aspect, but the fact that there are a lot of bottleneck, I will tell you, there are a lot of bottleneck, because I experienced a time whereby we want to take some agric loan, and you can see the bottleneck we found in secretariat. Seriously, the government has been telling people to be able to know how to use their hand. When there was a time, some years in 1960, when Jeff Kennedy said to the Americans, just think about what you can do for America.
On empty stomach. Many Nigerians are hungry.
Listen.
By the time they have ideas, how do they activate it? When they are hungry.
We always talk about hunger. There are so many countries that have seen wars. When there was a tsunami on this country, this black country, I've forgotten the name, it swallowed the land. More than 10,000 people died. Now, we don't have something of such. A lot of us concentrate on in the city, and we expect to be fed every day. It's not done. There is no country that is going to be consuming economy, and you expect that country to grow. We have our local food. The food Yoruba is eating is different from the one Igbos are eating, the Hausas are eating. All the foods are local. Why do we have to be importing everything? It's wrong. Our economy cannot move because of this. Do you know the trade war that happened between China and United States of America because of wheat? Because America cannot let its wheat go. They make sure they are the control of the wheat in the world. You see, you can see the trade dispute that is happening between America and China now.
What's your parting word? Because we have to go.
Yes, my advice word is for us all to think about how we can be able to contribute to this country and make it much better.
I must say thank you so much, gentlemen. I've been speaking to Koyela Dele, is a public affairs analyst, and of course Omolaja Olaye. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for your time on this program itself. And I will also say thank you to all our callers, and it's a bye on Political Talk this evening. My name is Bolabo Famous School.